Hello, and welcome to Reality Remix, where we talk about controversial topics, current events, and discuss that which has an effect on this reality. I'm Dennis, your host, and in recent events, we have a verdict in the Rittenhouse trial, which we covered in episode 10. A verdict of not guilty on all 6 counts. Our Second Amendment rights are safe again, for the time being. With us in the studio today are, as co-hosts, are Jim. How you doing?
Great. How about you, Dennis?
I'm doing fine. Solomon?
Good evening. How are you this evening?
I'm doing okay. Can't complain. How about you, Anthony?
I'm here, ready to go.
All right, then let's jump right in. Episode 13, The Domestication of Animals. I originally wanted to talk about why people keep pets, such as dogs, knowing that their lifespan is shorter than ours, and myself having recently lost a best friend of 13 years, it seemed fitting as my loss was very fresh. After my soul searching, though, I felt it fitting to include all pets and beyond and talk instead about the domestication of animals. From the nationalgeographic.com website, the definition of domestic animals are defined as having been genetically adapted over generations to live alongside humans. These include pets such as dogs, cats, and hamsters, livestock such as cattle, sheep, pigs, and goats, and beasts of burden such as horses, camels, and donkeys. Curiously enough, we only allow pets inside our houses and form emotional bonds with them. We trust our pets. But I wonder if the emotional attachments that we form with our pets extend to the rest of the domesticated species, to the rest of the crew. What are your thoughts on this subject?
Didn't some animals domesticate themselves in order just to be around humans, though?
Well, the dog goes back to 13,000 years BCE. You bring your cats in a little bit closer at 10,000 BCE. Now, cats, did they come around human beings and keep rodents away and they saw their value with it, you know?
Yeah, like maybe like a codependent thing more so than a domestication.
Okay, but the domesticated animals are like basically any animal that has been genetically changed. It's not feral anymore, put it that way. So the differentiation between domestication and feralism is wild animal. Like you could never domesticate a wild tiger. Okay, you can't domesticate an elephant. It will never become a tame animal, regardless if it's in your field as a horse or a cat inside your house, you know?
It couldn't over, say, tens of thousands of years. That could be a possibility.
Okay, well, they do have the little potbelly pigs. Yeah. But the question is leading into, are animals sentient enough? Okay, are certain animals more sentient? There's no doubt that dogs and cats are sentient. They interact with us. Have they picked up any of our intelligence in order to coexist with us? But like, say, a hamster or a gerbil that is also a pet, does it show any sort of intelligence other than, doing its daily routine?
I've seen them trained.
Okay, trained to do what exactly, though?
Different tricks, interact, hug, cuddle, sleep on your neck.
Okay. Same with ferrets, too. They're relatively snuggly and cuddly, but again, they're a feral animal. They're not really domesticated, and I had a ferret before until he bit me like 3 times out of spite for no reason whatsoever. All playful, happy, chomp on the end of the finger. Art, bleep, you darn little animal. And yeah, he didn't stay around for very long.
I'd like to throw in a question for the group here. Are fish domesticated or not?
That's a good gray area right there because, yes, we keep them as pets, okay, but do they have sentience? Is that even a qualification for being a pet. And I've had lots of fish over the course of my life. I've raised 10 gallon, 20, 30, 55. I've never gone saltwater or over 55, but fish are scientifically proven to be very relaxing if you have high blood pressure. You feed your fish. There's some sort of symbiotic relationship because they give you pleasure as well as you taking care of them, having to change their water and so on and so forth, feed them, I don't know. What do you guys think? Are they really pets? Domesticated pets?
They fall under the definition if you're keeping that fish as a companion, someone you talk to or feed and take care of. Part of the definition for pet is companion animal. So I would imagine, unless you want to call it, say a fish isn't an animal.
Okay, but
Some people
like say a cow is domesticated. A fish isn't really domesticated, but we eat the cows. We could eat the fish. It's all about what we keep as a pet and don't eat, and what we keep as a domesticated animal, which we do wind up eating. Well, some people would, anyways. Most of us would. We have to allow for the vegans out there and that kind of stuff.
Well, you also have people that eat dogs and cats.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was doing a little bit of research on the topic, and dogs are listed as a form of meat, I'm sure, in the Asian countries,
Mm-hmm. And then some livestock in India, you kill a cow, you're put to death.
Well, yeah, because they worship their cows, and yet there are certain areas in India that are famished and impoverished, so that brings up a good question. Is it geographically based, depending on where you are? In the Asian countries, your dog that you keep as a pet would be a dinner snack, and then like a cow that we have, raised in the field, foraging, whatever else not, would be considered a deity and taboo in another country.
I guess we could pretty much say that pets are considered like everything else. It just depends on the culture and the people in that culture and how they feel about what can be considered a pet.
Yeah, okay, so they would have an iguana in India for a pet? Yeah,
There's people here in America that have lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that are pets.
Yeah, but they're not really considered pets. You can't let the tiger or the lion inside your house and not expect to get eaten one night, They would turn on you, basically.
There was a lion in our neighborhood growing up.
Did
he lived in a backyard. His pen was downstairs in the basement. There was a whole sliding door mechanism for him to get in the house. But yeah, I could remember hearing a lion roar for many years growing up as a kid.
But were there ever any accidents with the lion, like, attacking somebody?
No, none. The only incident I was aware of was the owner's his own dog. Apparently, the dog and the lion got into it one day, and it was a quick game. But as far as interaction with people, like I can remember going over there and seeing it and getting pretty damn close to it, and some people going up and petting it, and he was just a big chill cat.
Okay, but was he friendly, or was he like rawr, and scaring you?
No, he was friendly. I would say he was also an older lion too. He wasn't young.
Okay, so yeah, who's kind of age. One of the other things I wanted to get into was about the feelings, okay, between an animal that we have as a pet and our own feelings. Now, I look at the farmers, they have cows out in the field. I don't form any sort of emotional attachment to them because, yeah, they're going to wind up as a steak or a burger someday. But your cat that you have, you pet the cat, relaxes you, whatever, your dog, same difference, okay? You develop feelings towards them if like, say they step on a bristle and it's in their paw and they're limping. You immediately want to go and help them if you can, Where is the whole feeling tied into between that emotional bond you form with a pet and another domesticated animal? Now, can you have a squirrel that runs through your yard and you feed it birdseed and it comes around all the time? Your feeling your emotional attachment to that squirrel, even though it's a regular guest, isn't as heartfelt as an animal that you can actually, I guess the key word is rub with your hand, aka pet.
I had a teacher in school. She had a pet squirrel. Its name was Twiggy.
And would it like come up to her and eat out of her hand, or was it just a flighty old squirrel like all the others?
It lived in the house with the family and the cats and the dog, and it
Yeah,
was
I've seen plenty of that.
it was part of
Okay, I've heard
my
of
neighbor.
raccoons.
Yeah, I've got a friend that keeps raccoons, and they're not caged. They're free to roam the house, as well as the birds he has in his house. He's got macaws, and uh, he's got a red macaw. That thing's got to be, I swear, he's 3, 4 foot tall. He's huge, and him and the raccoons, they all play. I mean, it's kind of like a little open zoo in his house, but they're all pets to him, and they all, you can walk in the house and every one of the birds will greet you, and the raccoons will inspect you. I mean, you can pet them and stuff. They're not vicious. They don't growl or bite at you. And he hasn't really done anything to them to, like we domesticate our dogs. We, do special things with them to make them either guard dogs. That's a working dog, but there's people, I mean, you couldn't make a Shih Tzu do much, but you can a shepherd. Which one's the most pet?
Well, yeah, dogs are used for herding sheep, protection, labor, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, abilities. They're not so much pets, but as far as the pet's concerned, that's something that you keep it just for the pleasure of having that animal. And I used to be a dog person. I can't tell you how many dogs I've had, but since I haven't had dogs for quite a while, I really don't have the interest to have another dog in the house. It wasn't something I look forward to
Okay,
now.
but
When I
aren't
was
you
younger,
also saying that your previous dogs were your best friend? You went through heartache every time that one of them passed away or got hit by a car, however they,
well,
passed on.
I had one bite a family member, and the dog was 7 years old, been around this person all the time, and it just out of nowhere bit, and it was like, okay, that's it. I'm done with dogs. No more dogs. It just immediately turned me off of keeping animals ever.
Kind of like to get back into the fish thing. Do we keep them against their will? I mean, like for instance, dogs, cats, other legged or winged creatures, if they decided to, they can leave if they wanted to. Fish don't have that luxury. They're stuck in a tank. Unless they're per se in a pond or, a river nearby, they can go wherever they want. But, can you
Okay,
play with a fish? I mean, maybe once. I don't think it'd want to play after very much longer, but
But that's true. You're not gonna play them.
you can play with it once, but it's not going to want to drive the Tonka truck after about 5 minutes.
Yeah, and if you chase it around in the fish tank, they say you put so much stress on them, you'll probably find them belly up anyway.
yeah, I would say that fish are okay because they do bring you enjoyment. They're high maintenance, and you can have a very, you know, pretty scenario set up in your fish tank that people like to look at, and you say, "Hey, you're actually taking care of your fish." Now, the other side of the coin is that I have turtles, okay, 4 of them, and am I keeping them in captivity? And they would go, oh, well, then you got to look at Mother Nature, okay? Mother Nature isn't that kind to wild feral animals. They're all about survival. So if one of my turtles was out in a wild pond and crossed the road, semi truck come by, blump, blump, okay, the turtle's gone that instant. Whereas he has the potential to live a long and full life, even longer than my own life. Average lifespan of a turtle is 50 years. So, am I doing him a benefit by keeping him in a tank and feeding him? Is it about his freedom? Or is it about, setting them loose in nature and letting, gamble with nature and see if they survive or not? I mean, that's a moral dilemma there almost.
Well, and it's again a question of free will, though. The animals do have free will. I mean, like I said, with the dogs and cats, you hear of them running away or going outside and doing their thing all the time. And But back to the fish, they don't have that option. I mean, they can't really either tell or express themselves in a way to say, I don't want to be in this tank, get me out of here.
Okay, well, I
I mean,
think the bottom line there would be communication. Do your fish tell you that they're unhappy? Do my turtles tell me they're unhappy? No, they do look at me. I do see a glimmer of sentience in their eyes because they like look at you and mean mug you, but the turtle doesn't have the prettiest face. Some fish are, they might look at you, but you can tell it's just a random abstract limbic brain, functioning in the background there somewhere that you have them more for just your own gratification rather than worrying about their free will. Now, if you take the instance of a dog can burp, 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 scratch at the door, tell you it wants to go out. So it's communicating with you. Same with a cat, will do the same thing. If it's hungry, it'll meow or do whatever cats do when they're hungry. So if it seems as if we form a tighter bond with the pets that we have, the animals that we can communicate with and get some sort of feedback from them, that we form a tighter bond with.
I'd like to add one more thing here. Animals can communicate with us. Certain animals, meow, rough, all the, all the things that animals do say.
Yeah.
But do we really know what they're saying?
Well, that's the whole point. When an animal is barking or meowing, okay, if you have them in your household for a period of time, you can almost interpret what they're trying to say. They have different barks. A car pulls up, it's one bark. If they're hungry, it's another bark. Or if they're happy and you're playing with them, it's another set of barks going on. That goes back to, can you communicate?
I would say if any communication happens in like basic forms of that, like like being hungry or want to go out or do whatever, go play.
Yeah,
But
but
as far as hey, how you doing today? Or I'm feeling all right. I don't think there's going to be any kind of detailed conversation happening.
well, no, not detailed conversation, but more of almost telepathic or better yet, empathic bonding that goes on where you can sense what your pet is feeling. And, if your cat is laying in a sunbeam all stretched out, then, it's comfortable and it's content and it's happy. Whereas if it's up and it's pacing and it's twitching its tail, or it's crunched down stalking a mouse or something like that, then you get the sense that it's operating on its own level doing that particular thing, and whereas you're pretty much just secondary. But you see your cat laying there, you walk up and pet it and it purrs. Oh my gosh, you've just elicited a response from your pet, and that kind of is soothing and satisfying too. Another form of communication. It's pleased with you petting it, and it's there to gratify you, I guess. Have we all had pets before in the past, though? That's the elephant in the room right there.
I keep mentioning fish. I had them for years, a few years here, and just recently decided we were not going to have fish tank anymore. And I got 2 cats, and I had a dog at one point. I want another dog, but I don't know if I can have another one.
Okay,
So
but you've harbored 3 different species of animals as pets before, correct?
Well, 4. If I can't, had a rabbit at one point as well.
Okay. Solomon, how about you? How many pets have you harbored, taken care of?
Let's see. I've had fish. I've had gerbils. I had a mouse. Several cats.
Okay, so every one of us has this innate, function to care for other creatures that, whether they be sentient or not, they're just other creatures, and we're basically taking care of them. Once you accept that responsibility, it comes down to, it's just something you do. You feed your mouse every day. You feed your gerbil or hamster or whatever.
Definitely becomes a daily routine. Sometimes it's nice just to come home to a familiar face too.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that about wraps up this episode. And if you like what you hear, thanks for listening. Please hit the subscribe button. Give us a like and tap the notification bell.